Good morning, Josh here at Bend Bass Fishing, and we are going to fish Converse Bay, a bay that I've never fished before. Actually, I fished a little bit last year and didn't do very well during a tournament. So I'm going to do some pre-fishing using Google, Navionics, and my Humminbird, and we are going to fish from space real quick. We're going to Google Maps, look at the launch, see how deep the launch is, open up the Navionics website, navionics.com, look at the contour map. So when we do that, we're going to compare the two. And so what we can see from space is cribs, any shallow bumps, any structure that's in the lake from space. So you can actually get really down close depending on what lake you're at, and if Google's been over there with their satellite, which is really nice. So I'm going to show you guys a couple spots that I found from space and show you what I do. So I know my boat goes only 30 miles an hour, so I have 8 hours in this tournament. So I don't normally like to run more than 30 minutes. So that equals 15 miles or so. Does that make sense? If you had a faster boat, you could run a mile a minute up to 60, 70 miles an hour, and you can get further away. So I like more fishing time, even if the fishing spot's not the best and I can't get there in time. I'll fish the snot out of it and go from there. So let's switch over to Google Maps and show you what that is, and I'll show you spots around. I'll talk through that.
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to go to type in Converse Bay, Lake Champlain, click on the maps, and I am going to close that and instantly switch to satellite view. So I know where the boat launch is. If you don't know where your boat launch is or where you're going to be going to, this is a good way to scout it. Very important feature right here, especially if you're in a smaller boat, is the scale on the bottom right hand side of the screen. So I zoom out to 5,000 feet, which is almost a mile, or you can zoom out to a mile, and that's about an inch. So you can kind of gauge on the screen how far away things are, otherwise you really have no reference. Or you can use the measuring tool, which is measure distance from here to here. That's 4 miles, which is 8 minutes in my boat, roughly, in flat water, of course, and nothing's gone wrong. So I'm going to refresh that, get rid of that, zoom back in. So I'm going to look for largemouth first, and I'm going to do that by looking in shallow bays and weeds. So I know this is kind of a weedy area since it's green from the satellite, and I know this was taken during the summertime because just the foliage, and it was taken in 2017 right here. So I can zoom out. I can fish that spot right next to the boat launch on the way back, which is always good. I can fish on some islands, and right now I have, my only indication on water depth is how green things are. So for fishing for largemouth, I can go for marinas. So I'm going to zoom in right here. Look at that. That's kind of cool. So there's kind of some sort of sunken structure here. Either it's a cribbing, which it doesn't look like really. I can see that from space, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to mark that on my Navionics. So I'm going to go to navionics.com real quick, and I'm going to switch over to chart viewer, and it kind of knows where I am. I'm going to zoom into Lake Champlain, where I'm launching out of. And what I can do is, this is in Town Farm Bay, I know where I'm launching over here. I can zoom into here and mark that on my phone, or I can mark it here and kind of get kind of information. So the app is about $10. There's probably some other apps. You can actually mark it on Google on your phone. That way you don't have to spend money on your Navionics app, and Google's free. So I mark that, and now I'm still looking for largemouth, and I'm looking for secondary points that aren't in the wind. So here's another one that probably won't be in the wind, and I can zoom in there and look in there. It looks like there's a little island, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to click on that, mark that on my Navionics also. So I'm going to zoom out. So I've literally never fished on here before. I fished on here last year, and it was kind of a lost cause. Another thing is right here, so I have a point with rocks on it. You click on that, and that symbol means rocks, which is kind of cool. So I have rocks, I have shallow water, kind of a bay here, and some docks. So this might be a bass bedding area. So I'm going to fish on the way in, see if they're on staging points on the way out, see how that works. So I'm going to mark that also. I'm also going to go down, and I know there's a spot where I've seen fish. It's Basin Harbor. So there's docks in here. There's deep water going up to shallow water. So I'm going to fish in there for smallmouth on the way in. So let's see what this looks like on Google Earth. So zoom out, zoom down, Basin Harbor Club. There's a couple docks in there, and it looks like it's interesting. There's a tree hanging. I'm gonna fish the shoreline. Looks like there's some tree hanging in the water, so I'm definitely gonna mark that for largemouth bass. And the water might be a little bit murky since it looks like it's murky here. And this is last year. Doesn't say what month it is, but we've had a lot of rain, so that might be murky. So I might be looking for clear water, which might be on the backside of other bays, so Button Bay, any sort of pass right here, I'll fish in for smallmouth or largemouth. And this gets green in here, so I'll mark those areas as well.
So I marked some spots on my Navionics on my phone, and I'm going to find those on my Humminbird, just because I know where things are. So I'm here currently. I'm going to go over here, Town Farm, zoom in, and I know there's something off the tip of that launch there. I'm going to mark that, double click, mark, and there's one. Exit back out, zoom back out, and then I'm gonna zoom out a little bit more. And now my orientation's a little bit screwed up, but that's okay. I'm gonna go down to this point over here. And there's a little island I found on Google Earth right here that I showed you guys. It might be underwater depending on how high the lake is right now, so I'm gonna mark. Yeah.
I ran a Humminbird ice 35 on all ice season. I won't post fish without it. My buddy's fishing stuff on it. Does that? We do that fishing.
That one.
That one?
Yeah. Didn't even feel it. Jeez. Oh, big small. Got one. Close, very close to the spot I marked. He's a fighter. Guess smoked. Get in the net. First small of the day. So there's some, and then I'm going to use my Humminbird the rest of the day to find some points like this. I know there's probably some fish on this island. There might be some beds on the backside of this. So I'm going to mark that too. Mark. And we'll go from there. A turtle. Some acrobatic fish. Oh, there's a larger right there though. Suck it up. Got him. Yep. Don't go in the weeds. Oh, there's another one chasing it. This big one chasing it. Right next to him. Yep, there's one right next to him. Jeez. You don't grab the net for me?
Yep.
That tree is loaded. Oh, there he is, right there. See him? Right under, right where those sunnies are. Cast. I know, sorry.
No,
Cast like right there.
Right here. Too far?
Nope, he's coming for it. He's coming for it. Set the hook. Oh, you jacked him. Oh, that's a nice one right there, huh? Yeah. Look at that guy. So a couple of the spots worked out today. A couple of the spots did not. So that's one of the things that pre-fishing, using Google Earth and using Navionics, you can kind of find ledges and stuff for smallmouth and grass and weeds for largemouth. You can see that stuff from space using Google, and that's all free. And it gives you a little bit of heads up, especially when you have a smaller boat and you can't hop from spot to spot. It'll save you some time in the long run. So check that out. Check out your local lakes and Navionics map. If you don't have a Navionics map for that lake, what you can do is actually look at the contour of the mountain range around it. And so if it's really steep on one side, usually the under the lake is steep too. So a steep mountain comes into a steep lake and it's usually deep in that spot. So you can fish those ledges for smallmouth, or largemouth will sometimes be held right up against it. So if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, and I'll have more videos coming out every week.